There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that the greatest wounds they carry were not caused by the world itself, but by the way they responded to it. One careless word steals your peace. One betrayal changes your trust. One rejection makes you question your worth. Slowly, without noticing, you begin handing the keys to your happiness to people who neither understand your journey nor deserve that power. The moment someone can control your emotions, they can influence the direction of your life. True strength is not found in becoming harder, colder, or emotionally numb. It is found in developing a mind so steady that praise no longer makes you arrogant, criticism no longer makes you insecure, and rejection no longer makes you feel broken. Imagine waking up every day knowing that no insult can shake your confidence, no betrayal can destroy your peace, and no opinion can determine your value. That kind of freedom is available, but it requires mastering something far more powerful than controlling other people. It requires mastering yourself. In today's message, we will explore the mindset that transforms pain into wisdom, emotional reactions into conscious choices, and weakness into quiet inner strength. By the end of this journey, you may discover that the person who has hurt you the most was never your greatest obstacle. The greatest obstacle has always been the part of you that allowed others to define your peace. Once you master this, you stop living as a prisoner of other people's actions, and you begin living with a freedom that no one can ever take away. Most people believe their greatest struggle is dealing with difficult people. They spend years trying to change someone's attitude, hoping others will become kinder, more respectful, or more understanding. They carefully choose their words to avoid conflict, constantly adjust their behavior to gain approval, and silently expect that one day the world will finally treat them fairly. Yet, despite all these efforts, disappointment continues to return. The reason is simple. You cannot control another person's thoughts, emotions, or actions. You can only control the way you respond. The moment you understand this truth, you stop wasting your life fighting battles that were never yours to win. Think about how often your mood has been determined by something someone else said. A careless comment can occupy your mind for hours. A message left unanswered can create anxiety. A harsh criticism can echo inside your thoughts long after the conversation has ended. What happened? The words themselves lasted only a few seconds, but your reaction gave them a place to live inside your mind. That reaction became the true source of suffering. Another person threw a stone, but your mind continued carrying it long after they had walked away. Emotional reactions often happen so quickly that we mistake them for reality. Someone disagrees with us, and we immediately feel attacked. Someone succeeds, and we instantly compare ourselves. Someone ignores us, and we assume we are unimportant. These reactions seem automatic because they are built upon habits formed over many years. Every repeated thought becomes easier to think again. Every emotional pattern becomes more familiar. Eventually, the mind reacts before wisdom has the opportunity to speak. This is why mastering your emotional reactions is one of the greatest forms of freedom. It does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending nothing affects you. It means creating enough space between what happens and how you choose to respond. Within that small space lies the difference between a peaceful life and a chaotic one. Without that space, every external event controls your internal world. With that space, your mind becomes the one deciding what deserves your energy. Imagine someone insults you. The ordinary response is immediate defense. The heart races, the voice becomes louder, and the mind begins collecting evidence to prove the other person wrong. Hours later, the conversation is still replaying in your thoughts. But what if you paused? What if, instead of reacting instantly, you simply observed what was happening inside yourself? You noticed the anger rising. You recognized the desire to defend your ego. You acknowledged the discomfort without allowing it to command your actions. In that moment, You are no longer a servant of your emotions. You become their observer. Every emotion carries valuable information, but not every emotion deserves immediate action. Anger may reveal that a boundary has been crossed, but anger should not decide your words. Fear may remind you to prepare carefully, but fear should not decide your future. Sadness may invite reflection, but sadness should not convince you that hope has disappeared. When emotions become leaders, life becomes unstable, because emotions constantly change. When awareness becomes the leader, emotions become helpful guides rather than destructive masters. Many people spend their entire lives reacting instead of responding. Reaction is fast, unconscious, and driven by habit. Response is calm, intentional, and guided by wisdom. Reaction belongs to impulse. Response belongs to discipline. One creates regret, while the other creates strength. The difference may last only a few seconds, but those seconds can change relationships, careers, and entire futures. Consider the strongest people you have ever met. Their strength rarely comes from physical power or loud confidence. It comes from emotional stability. They do not become overwhelmed every time circumstances change. They do not lose themselves because someone disagrees with them. They listen before speaking. They think before acting. They understand that protecting their inner peace is more valuable than winning every argument. Their calmness is not weakness. It is evidence of deep self-mastery. The world constantly presents opportunities to practice this discipline. Traffic becomes an opportunity. Delays become an opportunity. Criticism becomes an opportunity. Failure becomes an opportunity. Every uncomfortable situation asks the same question. Who is in control right now? Your awareness or your emotions? Most people never notice they are being tested because they are too busy reacting. They believe the problem exists outside themselves when the real challenge is taking place within. This is why external victories often fail to bring lasting peace. You may earn more money, receive more recognition, or gain more influence, yet still remain emotionally fragile. A single negative comment can destroy the confidence built by 100 compliments. Why? Because confidence built upon external approval will always depend upon external approval. The strongest foundation is the one built within yourself, where your emotional balance does not rise and fall with every opinion you hear. Learning to observe your reactions requires patience. At first, you may only notice your emotional patterns after they have already controlled your behavior. That is still progress. Over time, you begin recognizing them while they are happening. Eventually, you notice them before they fully develop. This gradual awareness transforms the quality of your decisions. Situations that once consumed your entire day become small moments that pass without leaving lasting damage. Silence becomes one of your greatest teachers. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding requires correction. Not every opinion requires your attention. Sometimes the strongest action is choosing not to react at all. The ego desperately wants to defend itself, but wisdom understands that peace is often worth more than being right. When you stop fighting every battle, you conserve your energy for the ones that truly matter. There is also great strength in accepting that people act according to their own level of understanding. Some speak from pain. Others speak from insecurity. Some criticize because they cannot manage their own frustrations. If you react emotionally to every wounded person you encounter, you will spend your entire life carrying burdens that were never yours. Compassion allows you to recognize another person's behavior without allowing it to poison your own mind. Mastering your emotional reactions also changes the way you experience success. Praise becomes pleasant, but not necessary. Recognition becomes appreciated, but not addictive. You no longer depend upon applause to feel valuable, because your worth is no longer determined by changing opinions. This creates remarkable consistency. Whether people admire you or misunderstand you, your direction remains steady because it is guided by principles rather than emotions. With practice, you begin noticing something extraordinary. Situations that once seemed unbearable lose their power. The same words that once hurt you now pass through your mind without leaving deep wounds. The same obstacles that once created panic now become opportunities to strengthen patience. Your peace slowly becomes independent of circumstances. Instead of asking the world to become gentler, you become wiser. Instead of demanding that people stop provoking you, you develop the discipline that prevents provocation from taking root. Instead of fearing every challenge that appears before you, you quietly recognize each difficult moment as another chance to strengthen the one thing that no one else can ever truly control. Your response, one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry, is the constant need to be accepted. It often begins quietly. As children, we learn to smile when we are praised and feel ashamed when we are criticized. We slowly connect our sense of worth to the reactions of other people. If they approve of us, we feel valuable. If they reject us, we question ourselves. Over time, this habit becomes so deeply rooted that we no longer recognize it. We begin living according to expectations that were never truly our own. We dress to impress, speak to avoid judgment, hide parts of ourselves to fit in, and measure our success by how others respond. Without realizing it, we hand over something priceless. We surrender our identity to opinions that constantly change. The problem with seeking approval is not that appreciation is wrong. Every human being enjoys encouragement, respect, and kindness. The problem begins when your peace depends on receiving them. The moment your self-worth relies on external validation, you become emotionally dependent on forces you cannot control. One compliment lifts your confidence, while one criticism destroys it. One moment you feel unstoppable, and the next you question everything about yourself. This creates a life of emotional instability, because public opinion is never fixed. People admire you today and misunderstand you tomorrow. They celebrate your success one moment and criticize your decisions the next. If your value rises and falls with every voice around you, you will never experience lasting peace. Consider how many decisions people make simply to avoid being judged. They remain in careers that drain them because they fear disappointing others. They stay silent when they should speak because they worry about criticism. They pursue goals that impress society instead of pursuing work that fulfills their hearts. Every choice becomes a performance designed to gain acceptance rather than an honest expression of who they are. This performance may bring temporary approval, but it slowly creates inner emptiness because the person receiving praise is often not the person they truly are. There is a quiet exhaustion that comes from pretending. It requires constant effort to maintain an image that satisfies everyone. You begin analyzing every conversation, wondering whether you said the right thing. You replay moments in your mind, searching for mistakes that others may not have even noticed. You compare yourself with people who appear more successful, more attractive, more confident, or more accomplished. Instead of living your own life, you become trapped in an endless competition that has no finish line. Someone will always have more, know more, or receive more attention. If comparison becomes your standard, contentment becomes impossible. Many people believe criticism is proof that something is wrong with them. In reality, criticism often reveals more about the person giving it than the person receiving it. Every individual views the world through their own experiences, fears, beliefs, and expectations. Two people can observe the exact same situation and reach completely different conclusions. One sees courage, while another sees recklessness. One sees confidence, while another sees arrogance. One sees discipline, while another sees stubbornness. If opinions vary so dramatically, why should any single opinion determine your worth? Imagine carrying a mirror that changes its reflection every time someone looks into it. One person tells you that you are intelligent. Another insists you are ordinary. One praises your kindness, while another calls you weak. If you believed every reflection, you would lose all sense of who you truly are. This is exactly what happens when identity is built upon public opinion. You become a collection of other people's perceptions rather than a person grounded in self-understanding. Real confidence grows from a different source. It grows from knowing your values, honoring your principles, and acting with integrity even when nobody is watching. It develops through keeping promises to yourself, through doing difficult things without needing recognition, and through remaining honest when dishonesty would be easier. This type of confidence cannot be given by applause, because it was not created by applause. It comes from repeated evidence that you can trust your own character. Detaching your self-worth from other people's actions also changes the way you experience rejection. Rejection often feels deeply personal because the mind immediately translates it into a statement about identity. A job application is declined and you think you are not capable. A relationship ends and you believe you are not enough. Someone chooses another path and you assume you have failed. Yet rejection usually reflects compatibility, timing, priorities, or circumstances rather than absolute value. A locked door does not prove that you are unworthy. It simply means that particular door was not meant to open. History is filled with individuals who were dismissed, criticized, ignored, or ridiculed before their work was recognized. If they had accepted the opinions surrounding them as permanent truth, they would have abandoned their purpose. Their strength came from continuing forward despite misunderstanding. They understood that today's judgment does not define tomorrow's reality. Public opinion is temporary. Character endures. Another trap is allowing the actions of others to determine how you see yourself. When someone betrays you, it is easy to believe you were not worthy of loyalty. When someone lies to you, you may wonder whether you deserved honesty. When someone disrespects you, you may begin questioning your own value. Yet another person's behavior is ultimately a reflection of their own choices, habits, and character. A dishonest person often lies because dishonesty has become their pattern, not because you deserve deception. A disrespectful person often insults because respect has not become part of their nature. Their actions reveal who they are. They do not define who you are. This understanding creates emotional freedom. Instead of carrying every insult as proof of your inadequacy, you begin seeing it as information about the speaker. Instead of allowing every rejection to damage your confidence, you recognize that your value existed before someone accepted you and continues after someone walks away. Instead of desperately trying to convince everyone to appreciate you, you invest your energy in becoming someone you genuinely respect. There will always be people who misunderstand your intentions. Some will criticize your ambition because they fear taking risks themselves. Others will mock your discipline because it reminds them of promises they abandoned. Some will dislike you without truly knowing you. Trying to change every opinion becomes a lifelong distraction. You cannot control the stories people create in their minds. What you can control is whether you allow those stories to become part of your own identity. Detachment does not mean becoming indifferent to relationships or refusing feedback. Wise people remain open to learning. They listen carefully, reflect honestly, and accept constructive criticism with humility. The difference is that they evaluate feedback instead of automatically believing it. They ask whether it aligns with truth, whether it helps them grow, and whether it comes from a place of wisdom rather than emotion. They do not confuse every opinion with objective reality. As this mindset deepens, your interactions begin to change. You become more authentic because you no longer feel compelled to perform for approval. Your conversations become more honest because fear of judgment loses its grip. You stop apologizing for existing exactly as you are. You no longer chase every opportunity to impress people who were never committed to understanding you. You begin choosing relationships built on mutual respect instead of constant validation. Gradually, an inner stability begins to emerge. Praise becomes welcome but unnecessary. Criticism becomes information rather than a personal attack. Rejection becomes redirection instead of condemnation. Approval becomes a pleasant bonus instead of an emotional necessity. Your confidence no longer depends on how loudly others applaud, because it is rooted in something far more dependable than changing opinions. It is rooted in the quiet knowledge that your worth cannot be increased by admiration or reduced by rejection, because it comes from the integrity with which you choose to live each day, rather than the ever-changing judgments of the world around you. Many people spend their lives searching for peace in places where it cannot be found. They believe peace will arrive when they earn more money, when they find the perfect relationship, when they finally receive recognition, or when life becomes easier. They postpone their inner calm, convincing themselves that happiness belongs somewhere in the future. Yet every time they reach one destination, another desire appears, another challenge emerges, another fear takes its place. The finish line continues to move farther away. What they fail to realize is that peace, built upon changing circumstances, will always disappear when those circumstances change. Lasting peace can only exist when it is created from within. Inner peace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to remain centered while difficulty surrounds you. A calm lake is beautiful, but it teaches very little. The true measure of stillness is a mind that remains steady even when the winds of life become violent. Anyone can feel peaceful when everything is going according to plan. The greater challenge is remaining composed when expectations collapse, when people disappoint you, and when uncertainty enters your life without warning. Every day presents countless opportunities to lose your peace. Someone speaks harshly to you. A plan fails unexpectedly. An opportunity disappears. News arrives that you never wanted to hear. The mind immediately begins resisting reality. It asks, why is this happening? It imagines different outcomes. It replays conversations that cannot be changed. It creates fears about tomorrow before tomorrow has even arrived. Much of human suffering comes not from the event itself, but from the endless resistance created by the mind. The mind often believes that worrying gives it control. It convinces itself that by thinking about a problem repeatedly, it is preparing for every possibility. In reality, excessive worry usually drains the very energy needed to respond wisely. It creates imaginary battles that consume attention before any real challenge has appeared. Hours are lost fighting possibilities that never become reality. Meanwhile, the present moment quietly disappears. Building unshakable inner peace begins with accepting one simple truth. Life will never become completely predictable. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be unexpected changes. There will always be moments when people act unfairly or circumstances refuse to cooperate with your plans. Waiting for the world to become perfect before allowing yourself to feel peaceful is like waiting for the ocean to stop producing waves before deciding to sail. The waves are part of the journey. Learning to navigate them is far more valuable than wishing they would disappear. Acceptance is often misunderstood. Many assume it means giving up or becoming passive. In reality, acceptance means seeing reality clearly before deciding how to act. Imagine standing in heavy rain while insisting the sky should be sunny. Your frustration changes nothing about the weather. But the moment you accept that it is raining, you can decide whether to open an umbrella, seek shelter, or continue walking. Acceptance is not surrender. It is the foundation of intelligent action. Another powerful source of inner peace comes from simplifying the mind. Modern life constantly competes for your attention. Notifications interrupt your thoughts. Endless opinions fill your screens. News cycles amplify fear. Comparisons become unavoidable. Every moment seems designed to pull your awareness away from yourself. Without discipline, the mind becomes crowded with information that adds noise but very little wisdom. A crowded mind struggles to hear its own quiet voice. This is why moments of silence become so valuable. Sitting alone without distraction may initially feel uncomfortable because the mind immediately reveals everything it has been avoiding. Unfinished emotions rise to the surface. Old disappointments reappear. Hidden fears begin speaking. Many people escape these moments by reaching for entertainment, conversation, or constant activity. Yet avoiding silence only postpones understanding. Peace grows when you become willing to sit with yourself without needing to escape your own thoughts. Gratitude also transforms the quality of the mind. The human brain naturally focuses on what is missing because it evolved to detect danger and solve problems. While this instinct once helped survival, it often creates unnecessary dissatisfaction in modern life. Even after achieving meaningful success, the mind quickly shifts toward what remains incomplete. Gratitude interrupts this pattern. It gently reminds you that while not everything is perfect, much of what you once prayed for already exists in your life. This does not mean pretending that difficulties are unimportant. It simply means refusing to allow challenges to become the entire story. Every day contains both burdens and blessings. Where your attention consistently rests, shapes your emotional experience. A person who notices only obstacles eventually believes life is nothing but struggle. A person who learns to recognize moments of beauty, kindness, and progress develops resilience that remains available even during hardship. Another essential practice is learning to let go. Holding on to resentment feels like maintaining control, but resentment usually chains the one carrying it, rather than the person who caused the pain. Every time you replay an old betrayal, your body experiences the emotions again. Every remembered insult becomes a fresh wound because the mind continues feeding it attention. The past cannot be changed, but your relationship with the past can. Letting go does not erase memory. It removes the emotional grip those memories have over your present. Forgiveness is closely connected to this process. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as excusing harmful behavior or pretending injustice never happened. Genuine forgiveness means refusing to allow another person's actions to permanently occupy your inner world. It is the decision to stop carrying emotional weight that no longer serves your growth. You may still establish boundaries, you may still walk away from unhealthy relationships, but you no longer allow bitterness to define your daily experience. Peace also grows through discipline. Many imagine discipline as something harsh or restrictive, yet true discipline creates freedom. A disciplined mind is less easily controlled by impulses. A disciplined body has greater energy. A disciplined schedule reduces unnecessary stress. Small daily habits gradually strengthen your ability to remain stable under pressure. Waking with intention, caring for your health, reading thoughtful ideas, reflecting quietly, and practicing patience each become investments in an inner foundation that cannot easily be shaken. There will always be moments when emotions become intense. Fear may still appear. Anger may still arise. Sadness may still visit your heart. Inner peace does not eliminate these experiences. Instead, it changes your relationship with them. Rather than identifying with every passing emotion, you begin observing them with curiosity. You remind yourself that emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent identities. Like clouds moving across the sky, they arrive, remain for a while, and eventually pass if you do not cling to them. As this awareness deepens, external events lose much of their power over your inner world. Success becomes something to appreciate without becoming attached to. Failure becomes something to learn from without becoming defined by. Praise becomes encouraging without becoming addictive. Criticism becomes informative without becoming destructive. Your emotional balance becomes less dependent on circumstances because it is rooted in values that remain constant regardless of what happens around you. People will continue forming opinions. Unexpected problems will still appear. Life will still present seasons of uncertainty and loss. None of these realities disappear simply because you have developed inner peace. What changes is the place from which you meet them. Instead of reacting with panic, you respond with clarity. Instead of allowing every challenge to steal your joy, you remember that peace is a practice rather than a reward. It is strengthened each time you choose awareness over impulse, acceptance over resistance, gratitude over complaint, forgiveness over resentment, and quiet confidence over the endless need to control what was never yours to control in the first place. If today's message resonated with you, do not let it remain only as inspiration. Let it become a practice. Every day will give you another opportunity to choose your response instead of your impulse, your peace instead of your pride, and your wisdom instead of your fear. Remember, the strongest person in the room is not the one who can control everyone else, but the one who has learned to master themselves. The day you stop allowing other people's words, actions, and opinions to control your inner world is the day you become truly free. Take a quiet moment today and ask yourself, what have I been allowing to steal my peace? Then make the decision to reclaim that power, because no one can take what you refuse to surrender. If you found value in this message, support the channel by liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who needs to hear these words today. Leave a comment below and tell us, what is one thing you will no longer allow to control your peace? Your answer may inspire someone else to begin their own journey toward inner strength. Until next time, protect your mind, strengthen your character, and continue walking the path of self-mastery.